Hello and welcome to Spitfire. This is episode 57. We are live with our pre-CDL Atlanta show. A few things to cover this week. My name is Brice. I'll be bringing through the topics and try not to lose my freaking mind as we talk about some things. Joining me here, Chris Tunn, who is the entire reason we're doing this production early this week because he can't keep a schedule to save his freaking life. But more importantly, our guest for this week, the Tactical Rab, long-time regular, returning once again to break this down for us. How are you?
What's good, Brice? Yeah, not doing bad at all. London was fun last weekend. Sad to not see you there, but, maybe in June.
Yeah, maybe. I might pop down in June. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Let's get on to the topics this week then. And before we get onto the Atlanta stuff, few recent things that have popped up. One, Red Reserve is coming back, and what I'm about to say sounds slightly ironic considering I'm wearing a TCM hoodie, and they're robbing bastards as well. Red Reserve is back. Apparently, I don't think they're back in Call of Duty, but they're back, and I've questioned this on Twitter, and I've questioned this a few other places. I've heard a few things down the grapevine. From what I can tell, it's bullshit as far as I can tell. And I'm sure the Red Reserve guy, whoever's hosting up now, has nothing to do with the old regime. But I've heard we all know esports is a very small circle, and I don't like it. I don't like the way it's been done. I don't like Red Reserve, and I don't like the fact that they're coming back. It's a tarnished brand, and they can just fuck off. Quite simply, just fucking leave. I don't want to ever see that brand in esports again. You're not going to come back for the community. The fans have all gone. You pissed off all the players. The staff didn't get paid. What on earth is there any reason for Red Reserve to come back? They are delusional morons. And that's just off the top of my head. I cannot freaking believe the gall to say that they have fans left. No, you had fans in the players. No one gives a shit about that brand.
Is this the start of the kind of episode we're having this week? Yeah?
This is the kind of episode we're having. Get used to it, bitch.
Is it like that? Like, what did we say? This is what you get. That's what that is. Yeah. Really bad decision. I do not understand why they would think this is a good idea. Because it really isn't. I don't see any players wanting to play for that organization. I don't see, as you said, any fans following it. Nobody goes, I had a really good time following it. It's one of the most
famous gaming brands in the world. Is it bollocks?
Yeah. Maybe once upon a time, but...
Yeah, on their thing. One of the most famous gaming brands in the world.
Yeah.
It's a crazy time.
It blows the mind, to be honest. It's kind of funny how the original @Red Reserve still exists on Twitter, and they're just talking shit on the new Red Reserve guys because they just don't have even though they have the brand, they don't even have the Twitter @. I don't know who's made this decision. I've
heard some stuff through contacts of mine that I can't reveal because I know where it's come from. But it's just everything in the background looks bullshit. So much of it looks stupid. I don't know what they're hoping to bring back with it. Like I said, they don't even have the socials. It's mad. It's mental, and I hate it. Just thought I'd bring that up at the top and start the show off.
Yeah, no, it's a good point to bring up. As Creech is saying, they thought people were forgetting. It wasn't even a year ago. What?
Yeah,
outrageous.
Very, very, very dumb idea, and a waste of time and a waste of money.
Yeah, I just kicking off again.
And that's it.
Come on,
that's it.
There was something else you mentioned that annoyed me just before we went live. What was it? What was the other topic?
Tarkov?
Tarkov. It wasn't Tarkov. It was something to do with Call of Duty. It's along a very similar vein.
Oh, honestly, I don't know.
Orbit's supposed to be back as well, so God knows what's happening.
Yeah.
I heard
Patrick Anderson's isn't he the big dog over there still now?
Well, he was in red.
Yeah, no, I looked on his LinkedIn and it says @OrbitGG coming soon.
Yeah, just mental, absolutely mental. Think you can just get away with not paying players millions and then just go, we'll forget, we're all right.
Back to Orbit back in the Infinite Warfare.
I met Patrick several times. Got along with him fine. But as far as I'm concerned, if you're just going to do that to players, just don't come back into esports. Go somewhere else. Go scam other people. All right, let's move on. CDL Atlanta. That was just, I thought I'd start the show in a horrible tone.
No, that's fine. That's fine. This is why we love you, Brice.
This is good.
No, it's fine. I just thought, that was probably the most recent thing that happened in COD this week.
The Killer's Adderall thing,
I'll be honest with you, right? I don't know. The problem with talking about that entire subject is proof.
Yeah.
Right. I've heard this shit since I've been around in Call of Duty for 10 years. And touching it is just such a pain. Of all the people to bring it to light, Killer not exactly the most credible of sources.
So
regardless of whether you think he's right or wrong, Killer is not a credible source. This is the man who was convinced that different Ethernet cables had a factor on his placements. So I don't want to touch that. Whatever you think of Killer, I prefer to remember him as the Black Ops 2 world champion, and I will forget the last 5 years. Personally, honest.
That's fair enough. 5 years. Ooh.
Yeah, 7. That's been kind. But yeah, it's just
kind of funny. In the article, he said that the reason he quit was because like he couldn't keep up because everyone was doing Addy. Like he just couldn't keep up with the pace. Like, come on, mate. I'm not sure that's entirely like maybe slightly disingenuous.
It's just a horrible topic to go into. Like, there's nothing we can do here because we've seen players come out and talk about it and such. And I'm like, you know what? There's nothing I can possibly say that will sway people one way or the other. You either believe it or you don't. It's just not a good topic. Like, what am I going to add to that conversation about it? You know, I'm not a chemist. I'm not fucking. I don't know anything about the physiology of what it does to players. I don't know how much it's used. I don't know anything. I know that I've never taken it. There you go. I don't even know what it is. Right in the UK, we don't even have it. So there we go. 3 UK guys telling about something you can't even get over here. So that'd be great. Might as well just talk about caffeine for all I fucking know about it. But yeah, I don't know. It's just a weird one. I think the biggest news of the week is Enable.
Yeah,
Enable being dropped,
and this is why you should have picked up some good subs. I don't think Panda's a bad player, but the caliber of players on these franchise rosters is higher than him. I like him. I think he's a nice guy, but wouldn't it be nice if you Seattle Surge if you had a Barrow on there or a Dave on there? Or any number of European players who didn't even get a sniff.
Imagine they got a little bit of cheeky speed in there, a little bit of pressure, a little bit of one of these cracked out young players that would just love to go.
Mate.
A little bit. Well, I mean, some teams have done it, right? You say if you're Toronto, you got a little bit of Kleenex on there. And, bit of that in there. But like, at the same time, and again, I don't want to disrespect Panda too much here. I mean, look, he's a solid player, but has he ever been a top 16 player for the past couple of years? I'd say consistently no.
I think it's an interesting change they've made. I think they're trying something. And I don't hate them for trying it.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think the change is good, to be honest. And like Enable had that clip. He came out and said, fair play. I wasn't putting in the hours I should have been. This will humble me a bit. Like take it a bit more serious. I'm happy with the change. I think the change makes sense given the current meta. Like in an ideal world, you probably want Slacked over Enable if you're going to have to choose one of those players, given it's an SMG meta. And at the same time, when this team was formed, that's what most people said. Like, you have 3 players that play the same role in Karma, Slacked, and Enable. They've done the same role for 3 different teams over the last few years. How's that going to work? We know Karma can actually become a Slayer, as he kind of has been a little bit. So fair play. So if it is between Slacked and Enable in that sense, probably Enable's the right player to go. And then it's like, okay, who do you get in? As you say, Brice, you need some aggression. You need a really quick player that can be up there with Apathy on the front lines, because Octane is still something else at this game.
Your boy LaRue is still shredding.
That's not surprising.
Continuously shredding.
So I just feel bad for him right now, right? So, okay, you want a cracked out SMG player? Is that Panda?
I don't know, sure. Honestly, at this point,
he used an AR in World War II.
The question for me is not whether or not they should have got Enable, was whether or not they should have made a more drastic change. I think if they had the options, they might have done. Yeah. I would have liked to see and the problem is they're all good names, right? Now, there's nobody on this roster that's got a weak history or doesn't have pedigree or doesn't have the ability to be something more than they currently are. But the fact of the matter is that Seattle clearly thought they had a championship caliber team. And right now they're wondering whether or not they'll even make playoffs at the end of the season. And it's that early on, and they've made that drastic of a month. It's been a month, and they're already going, oh crap, we might be in serious trouble here.
Yeah. They're not playing the next event, so no. I think the next one's in LA. So it makes sense. Give themselves 4 weeks to have some practice with the new squad. They're playing Minnesota Rocker that first game, just out of interest, at the Los Angeles one. So.
This is the problem, though, with the whole substitute thing as well. You don't have a very quick turnover at any point. You've got a very quick turnover at every single point. I should say, completely contradicted what I want to say. So, literally every single event is you maybe have a couple of breaks here and there, but if you are on the schedule where you're doing most of the events at this moment in time and you make a change, you do not have a lot of time to make that change work. So
I mean, they got time now. Like, I think it's the benefit for them, though, right? Like, I have to disagree with you there. They've got
I don't think they've had. No, well, hold on. Are they not?
They're not playing next to
okay. Well, completely irrelevant. There you go.
Yeah, that's why I was wondering what you were saying. Like, they've got a month.
I thought you just said. I thought Rabs just said that they were playing Rocket.
He was talking about the event after. I think they're not playing.
Yeah, sorry, that was confusing. The next time they're playing is 7th of March. So
okay, that completely devalues my point then. Okay.
Well, I mean, but you're right there in a sense. Like this time they've timed it correctly, but if it was the case that you shit the bed and you've got an event in 2 weekends, like,
for example, Toronto. I mean, I think Bant's played well, but you could take that into consideration that they didn't have very long to.
Toronto, state of that team, like, what are you meant to do?
All you meant to do. You have so many subs.
Yeah,
you could do a lot of things. That's the problem. And I think, and this is maybe going on a tangent a little bit, is too many options. It's like you could do so many things, and sometimes that is maybe a good thing to have. Obviously, you could completely change that team up, but when do you start like laying the foundations? What is your core roster? How much are you going to change of this? It's like if I was to make that a football example, if you bring in too many players in the transfer season, then suddenly the team is disjointed. It doesn't have a core roster, which it makes it tick. And my issue with that is if you keep changing players, you can maybe not find something that works for you. Maybe you find something really quick. I don't know. It's a difficult thing to figure out, which I'm sure the coaches or coach on Ultra will have figured out by now. Bricey, I'm not too sure if we confirm whether there's more than Markey, but
the thing is, right? Here's the thing, right? Like with Seattle, is we said this playing again on the 7th, right? That group A they're in, right? Honestly, is a godsend. That group they're in has a fantastic chance of them getting some serious points. Minnesota look like they're on the higher side of middle at the moment. They look like they have a good skill ceiling, could be challenging as they move forward, right? They're probably the hardest team in this group. But Seattle got to play first. If they can get past that, they're against either LA, either side. The Gorillas or OG, who OG haven't lived up to their full expectation after losing to Paris. There is a chance they could get some serious points and get out of that group there. And that's what they want. That's why they've made this change. And you've got to look at it like that, right? People saying, "Oh, it's hard to drop these big players." Well, the truth is, in this new franchise era, it's not about event to event. Oh, we'll get better at X, Y, and Z. We need the points. We need the points on the board because you don't want to be halfway in the season and find yourself in a massive hole and got some hard matchups coming up. Because you can get rounded basically every event, depending on who you matched up against. Like you could have a really tough few groups and just get smoked.
Yeah. I think the problem is, though, is as you said, you need to be consistent throughout the year to a point. If Panda doesn't work, they go back to Enable. Or do they make a further change than that? It's one of those things.
That's when you have to start delving down into the amateur ranks, surely. Because, I mean, AK and Chris makes a great point in the chat, right? Like, I'm not sure if Proto is the change you want to make either, but technically in terms of roles, that makes more sense. Then again, Proto is so inconsistent that, I can't see him being on a championship winning team. But I can see him being on a team that's placing top 4 at these events and getting enough points to get you into the top half of the table. Maybe that's feasible. We've heard all about Panda and Octane's friendship, how close they are and all this stuff. And honestly, that's not an unreasonable point to say Panda's in the team because he's better friends with Octane. And they were like, oh, Sam, you're shredding. Who do you want in the team to, be your frontline kind of guys? And he's like, we'll take Casey. I don't know. Is that part of it? Probably. So
potentially, definitely potentially. I just think that this further reiterates why you would want a high caliber of sub player sitting there, so that if this does happen, and I don't think many of the teams envisaged it happening, but there was always going to be somebody who was down the lower side. Then this is where you should have really invested in some good subs. I'm not saying Panda's an awful player by any stretch of the imagination. He's not a bad player, but is there better players out there than him who didn't get picked
Seattle
up?
Never thought they'd have to make this change. I don't think Seattle ever thought they would have to make this change this early. That's their entire problem. Pro and Panda aren't bad players, but at the same time, I don't think Seattle really considered playing them, and especially not only 2 weeks in or 2 events in, because it's obviously it's half weeks or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. We knew this was going to happen at some point. We knew that subs would be important. We'll have to find out, right? That's the only thing we can say. The team is obviously going to go back to basics and figure out whether or not they can actually start winning. Because it's not even just about winning, the occasional coming mid-table, because they want points on the board early on. You're going to sit there and tell me the people at the bottom of this at the leaderboard right now, everyone around the area of them, you think Toronto Ultra got strength and depth? They could find a roster that clicks. It's people aren't really happy with Toronto Ultra right now, but we'll go into that. Optic, you think Optic aren't going to get better during the year? That team, look at the Optic roster. You think that roster is not going to get some fucking points on the board during this year? They are. They're coming. 100%. They're coming, and they're going to get it. And then who else is here? The New York team. New York team. You think the New York team are going to sit there on 10 points for the rest of the season? Are they bollocks? There are some teams coming for these points in the rest of the season. You cannot afford to sit there and go, hope everything will be okay. I hope Joey Nubsy right now is sitting in there with 6,000 clipboards, just stressing his mind out
everywhere,
just losing his freaking mind because he needs this to work. I want to see it like the scene from Draft Day, man. He's trying to work out. He's just traded his number one pick for last year, trying to get some players in. Like, and not only that, it's secret putting it out. You've got fucking Octane, man. Like in every fantasy draft I saw before the season come up, number one, he went. Number one. The boy LaRue is still a god.
Yep.
And he's sitting there, joint seventh at the table.
Help him. It's just, I don't know. Like, again, I think Seattle's a team who could improve at the same time, but at this point, like, you need to be actually making some points early on at the same time. Look, if they improved a lot and start winning a couple of events, then great. But do they look in the position where I think they're going to win an event this year? No.
No, for sure.
They maybe would flirt with a final now and then, I think, possibly, but I don't know. I'm not fully convinced on them, and I think they do need to make a change, but as we've said time and time again, I think a lot of these guys should have, and I'm not saying this about the players, but some of these guys who are organising the teams should have been watching Spitfire in the off-season, really. I think we were making quite a few good suggestions.
Yeah, honestly. And as Brice says, right, that New York team you just mentioned, at least Seattle actually got substitutes that can actually come into the team and play. You look
what
at
do
New
you
York,
mean?
Okay, my apologies in advance.
Yeah, don't censor Martin on this channel.
And you've got, and then you've got Nick Suda Happy, right? Like, what's going on there? Why is, okay, censor, I get, right? Content, whatever. At least have one legitimate sub that's done things in the previous season, didn't make a pro team, and has a legitimate chance of improving your squad.
But they didn't think they would have to change anything, Rab. Look at their team.
Yeah, just 50k, here you go, mate. Like, you were a good friend back in Infinite Warfare when you were still decent. Here you go, have a free paycheck. And now it comes back, it doesn't come back to bite you yet. Probably comes back to bite you in a couple of months when one of your players shit in the bed.
But how nice would it be to have, and again, I'm going to show my Europe bias here. But I tweeted out the other day when people were saying on, who do you think can make it on a roster, etc., etc. And even then, I seen the whole of Twitter, not one. I think it was a CDL Intel tweet, and not. I clicked on pretty soon after he put it out, and not one person had said any of these AMs that are really in Europe. Singularity won the last two open bracket games. I barely seen them mentioned. I barely seen them mentioned.
Right, no, and I'm like, London, at least.
Well, yeah, I know, but I just blew my mind. There's so many, and how many times have we said it? How much good talent there is in Europe that everyone's just like, oh well, yeah, fuck that. Visas.
I mean, you're telling me it's not worth Don't get me wrong, right? That's obviously European bias coming in.
Well, it is, but
if you're telling me that people aren't going, you know what? What bothers me is none of these coaches or managers, none of them have the savvy to go, well, you know what? Why don't we just take one of them? Why don't we just take one? We have two subs. Let's just take one of them. And if it turns out they are the next Simp, or Selim or any of the rookies we had last year, Dylan, all the rookies last year was the year of rookies. And they go, oh, what if we get one of those? Because that could turn a whole year around. That could be a little gold mine. We could sell them off later. We could do anything with them. No. It's just fucking waste of some spots and some people who will never play. Yeah. You're telling me all these coaching staff, these people being paid $100,000 a year, didn't figure that shit out. It's criminal. It's fucking criminal.
There's only a handful of teams. There's only a handful of teams that have done a good job with it. Only a handful. Yeah. I would say Paris have a good sub in Bricey.
I think London have a good sub.
London have good subs.
I think London have done a decent job.
Yeah.
I mean, Optic have Chino and Goon. Is that the solution?
I like Chino.
Chino might
be reasonable.
Yeah. Goon's always been okay. I would say Goon's probably It's different players. I was going to try and compare it to like Panda and Proto, but
it's fine. At least you used your sub spots, right? I can't.
Yeah,
General had a good run at the end of last year. I can go with that though. I mean, obviously Embo's like his pedigree has been a while now. I don't think he's going on.
Come on, man.
Yeah, I said like, they've got one. Like,
but Florida have Maniac, lads.
Yeah, fair play. Oh my
God. I don't know. I don't know what Florida are doing.
We'll just have to see, because this is, as we say, it's going to bite people in the arse.
Hypothetical.
Seattle are changing. It's going to be crazy because obviously it makes sense for Seattle. Okay, we delve into the substitutes first. If things don't work out, then maybe we have to properly go into the amateur pit. But give it a couple months. Some of these teams will be thinking, "Shit, we probably should make a change." They're going to go first to their subs. It's not going to work, and then
You know what? I hope that when some of these teams come begging to some of these good amateur players, I hope them take them to the fucking cleaners.
Yeah,
they won't, man. They won't.
I know they won't, but I hope they do.
It's fucking.
Oh, you need me? All right, okay, yeah.
No,
Max.
It's just not going to happen. It's just this whole thing, and I've been admittedly right. We've been saying it since the beginning. The reason we've been saying it since the beginning because we knew it was going to happen. And I will point out a case in point, and it works out really, really well. Paris, right? Look at the roster they picked up at the start of the season. A lot of people, myself included, thought they were going to be terrible. But they reached outside the normal circle. They reached out. They didn't get all the people thought they were going to get. Right? That isn't a team that at the start of the year you thought was going to do a lot on paper. But they took a risk. And that risk is paying off for them so far. How far it goes, I don't know. But they took a risk on the Australians. The Australians who, bear in mind, weren't even at champs. Mm-hmm. They failed at that hurdle, but they knew that they had a good run during the year. They took them. And it paid, don't get me wrong, risky as hell, by the way. But still, we're not even talking about going that far. We're just talking about having a more diverse sub-portfolio. And the worst thing is that when you look at the actual rosters for some of these events, I don't know if this has been picked up by the community, the actual listed rosters, as in the subs that are eligible to play, because you have to have a sub with you as a team to go with you. Do you know who the subs mostly are? They're fucking the coaches are down. It's not even the actual players that are down in some of these orgs because they're not going to fly the player out there or they're not going to bother to having a sub on site. So if someone goes ill, that team's just, their event's chalked. It's gone, mate. Unless they can fly in an emergency Concorde through the front door.
Hey, if the storms keep going, there was a flight that got from New York to London in 5 hours the other day. That's fucking crazy.
Point, that is crazy.
That is a really good flight. Maybe they get them over on one of them. Yeah. Big up the storms. Anyway.
Yeah. Maybe you can hear something outside. I don't know what. Yeah. Like, storm, like.
Let's
it's just Brice.
Let's move on to the event then. CDL Atlanta. FaZe showing up in a big way. I believe FaZe already put out some stuff about, the FaZe members actually going to be there and being a big thing. So this may be a very packed event for people willing to see the FaZe members. I don't know how that translates into crowd. I don't know how that's going to translate over into people watching the games. I think that'll be curious to see how they handle that because I've done events like that before where people turn up to see one thing and they're not really interested in the other thing. But it may work out for them. I've also done events where that's worked very, very well. So I'm hoping there'll be a lot of people there, a lot of people, and we'll see, right? We'll see, how big Atlanta is. We know that a lot of people may probably go to this one as well for the Chicago rivalry, right? Chicago Atlanta. It's the most anticipated game of the year so far. It was Dallas Chicago. It's not anymore. It's Atlanta Chicago. We all want to see it. We need to know how these two teams play against each other. It's looking like it's going to go into this week. So before we go into the actual bracket and stuff, the format is the same as last time. If you don't know, that's GSL groups, double elimination format groups. You win 2 before you lose 2. Get through, and then we go into the single elimination bracket. No advantages, no nothing. Doesn't matter how you do in groups. It's a clean slate. Okay? So once I go through that, there's only 4 teams left. It's all best of 5. And then we go into it. This is the current participants at CDL Atlanta. Chicago Huntsmen, Dallas Empire, the Florida Mutineers, the LA Gorillas, the Minnesota Rockier, Paris Legion, Seattle Surge, and Toronto Ultra. This event is more important for some of them than some others. I think it's going to be a great showing again to see how far Paris can get once more. But before we go and talk about individual teams, let's go into the groups. Groups, first of all. Florida, Toronto, Dallas, and Los Angeles Guerrillas. Let's start talking about this group. Our first game, Florida versus Toronto.
Hang on.
OG,
am I doing this correctly?
Am I on the right week? I am not even on the right week.
Classic. Are you looking at this the same as me, Tom?
I'm not in Atlanta, so
I don't get the wrong one.
It's FaZe, Chicago.
The wrong week. Brilliant. Got on the wrong week. Ignore me. It's Atlanta FaZe.
We go again.
It's a very similar team set. Atlanta FaZe, Chicago Huntsmen, Florida Mutineers, London Royal Ravens, Minnesota Rockier, Optic Gaming LA, Paris Legion, Toronto Ultra.
Firstly, before we dive into this, can I just say how fucking stacked that is? Like, in general, like, if OGLA turned up to their potential, fuck me, like, that is like...
Actually is a real banger when you think about it. Like, Paris
Florida
good,
are fully decent, Minnesota are decent, London are good, Paris are... There is some good teams here. This is like...
Yeah, basically all you want minus Dallas, probably. Yeah. So
top Toronto for Dallas, and you potentially have your top 8 teams
for the year so far, for sure. Yeah.
Anyway, Brice, go on.
I can't believe I had the wrong one up. That's my fault for looking through the next few weeks' schedules. All right, group stage, round 1. London versus Florida. Atlanta versus OGLA. Let's start with the London-Florida game. The Ravens are coming in again, and they're going to be hoping to kick off against Florida. Interesting one, because I think both these two teams really have some potential in this league. I'm just not entirely sure where to put them yet. I think a lot of people, the smart money, I think, would probably be on the Ravens after seeing them play last week. But whether or not that's recency bias, I don't know.
How much of it was, I mean, I don't want to, say too much about the home crowd advantage, etc. But I definitely feel as if it definitely would have given London a spark at the event, and hopefully if they can carry that intensity, I think they've got a really good shot at winning this game. But Florida are no slouches by any stretch of the imagination. I would put, if I was a betting man and I was forced to bet, well, first of all, I wouldn't bet on this one because I think it could go either way. But if I was forced to it, I think I probably would go with London. I just think that they looked pretty good last week. I think the fact that Wiskins looks like the best player on that team, I think their ceiling must be pretty high. If Dylan and Scraps, yes, okay, they're doing work in front of him, and they're a big reason as to why Wiskins is probably looking so good. But if they start frying as well, they become a different beast entirely. So I think London have the bigger ceiling. I think they have the bigger potential than Florida, I would say. I think they take this one in a tight series, but I think Florida are a very, very solid team. And I think they could cause some issues. I think at the beginning of the year, we all said, they don't look that great, but, when we seen them in Minnesota, they look decent. And I think, they could have been perfecting their craft online in the past couple of weeks. Who knows? But I would say London is hard to look past here for the most part.
Yeah, I'll have similar sentiments, to be honest. Like Florida, I mean, both Florida and London went 1-1 the opening weekend. But London, as you say, crowd advantage to some degree. But at London, they did honestly look really good. That series they won against New York, they looked great on the back end of. Obviously, they lost.
Should have beat Dallas.
To Dallas, which is very gutting, to be honest. But look, they're very close. Florida's results first weekend, they went Game 5 with Gorillas and lost. They went Game 5 with Surge and won. Both those teams not looking so good. So on the balance of what results we've seen, probably going to give it to London. At the same time, you have, as you say, Wiskin was a monster, but no one else really on London showed up particularly. They had their moments, but in terms of overall stat line, didn't have had something similar.
Only so many kills on the map, I suppose, at the same time.
Yeah, no, that is a fair point. But if you get a couple of those guys up around the 1 KD mark, as you would expect, maybe a bit of regression to the mean, you think London at least stays as good, if not gets better here. So yeah, I'd take them over Mutineers.
Yeah, I can see that. I think the Mutineers have a lot to prove. You are right. Their last games didn't really give you any confidence in them.
I just don't think they're as bad as we all made out at the beginning of the season. They don't look as bad as I thought they would be.
But they don't look very good either. Like we're not going to sit here and pretend that the Mutineers look good, because they don't. They look middle to lower table, right?
Yeah, but I wouldn't say it's an easy game, though.
I don't know, man. I feel like if I'm going to judge London, I put them higher. I
would definitely put them higher. I
think like you could argue London top 6, Florida bottom 6. Like that's roughly where I get. How big the gap is between those two, I don't know. But the Florida Mutineers have not shown me anything to say that the London Ravens are going to, not roll them here. Like a 3-1, a 3-0, very realistic scorelines. I don't think they're going to get another 3-2 out of them. I don't think the Royal Ravens are going to struggle or worry too much about this matchup. I think it's a really good matchup for them. And something they certainly are going to want coming out of last week's disappointing finish at their homestand. For me, I'm just going to go for the Ravens here. I don't see in any way that the Mutineers take down the Ravens.
I don't think it happens, but the same, I don't think it's out of the realms of possibility. It's just one of those games. We haven't seen enough of Florida to get a definite answer. Here, right? It's still early. I just don't think you can write any. Well, I don't want to see you can write anybody.
I'm not writing them up. Like, don't get me wrong. It's Call of Duty. The on the day stuff is always prevalent, right? It's always going to be one of those things. But I don't think Florida have anything like in it that says, it's definitely going to be a team with potential to skyrocket to the top of the league.
Oh, no,
I don't think it's one of these teams with a massively high skill ceiling. They may have something, once they start getting things together. But truth be told, I think London right now could probably do a little bit better, and maybe Florida will do too. However, when you still stack that up against each other, it's still Ravens the entire way.
Yeah. No, I agree that Ravens are going to win. I just think that we still haven't seen enough Florida to say 100% yes, but I know you're saying that as well.
We saw 10 maps of them. We saw 10 maps of Florida.
Yeah.
3-2 in both. They lost to the Gorillas, who obviously aren't looking like a very strong team, and they managed to beat Surge, who don't look great either. They keep losing to people. Right? It's not exactly like they've set the world on.
And that was when their Surge story was awful as well, to be fair. Yeah. Like, Mutineers beat them in both Surges, I'm pretty sure, and didn't get crushed in the respawns, but wasn't exactly pretty. So, it should be an interesting series. Like, it's still pretty early, to be honest. Like, as you say, it could go either way. And at the same time, Royal Ravens versus Paris, when they played them, obviously Paris had proved to be a decent team, but when Ravens did lose that map 1, and then they went up like 4-0 on that Arklov Peak Search and Destroy, then they got swept 6-4. Like, that wasn't a pretty way to lose a series. There's a couple of times that Royal Ravens have lost a series and not pretty fashions. So, I think they go up like 1-2-0 over Mutineers, but I'm not sure it's easy to close it out.
Yeah, I mean, people saying we're being biased towards the Ravens. I have no affiliation with the Ravens other than from London. I'm 45 minutes out. But honestly, like, you can't sit there and tell me with everything that you've seen, because someone in the chat has predicted Florida wins 3-2. And I honestly want to know where you pulled that scoreline out of your ass from. Because here's a simple fact, right?
With death.
Yeah, like, here's the thing. We've seen Florida play twice, 10 maps, both close games, both against weaker opposition. Ravens are look better. Ravens just look better.
Yeah, they do. I just think I'm not going to say that Florida are going to win. I'm just saying it's not completely out of the realms possibility. But I wouldn't.
Of course not. I'm not saying it's smoking. Yeah. It's Ravens all the way, in my opinion.
Yep. Okay.
Anyone disagree?
I don't disagree. I would say I'm 95% sure Ravens win.
We don't need
Let's move on to the other.
We'll just go in circles.
Let's move on. Atlanta OGLA. I mean, we said, the last game it could technically go either way. I don't think this goes either way. Not unless OGLA have got something that they've hit their potential. Atlanta are looking like the big boys, which is ironic. Looking like the champs right now. It's only Chicago we need to see them against. Chicago versus Atlanta. That's the game we want to see.
I will say, and again, I think there could have been easier games to start with. You're going right. Okay, we know that OGLA didn't have a very good start. We do know that, but we said it ourselves. They will get good at some point. When that is, I don't know. We don't know how their scrims are being going. Some people are saying they've been going well. I don't think they beat Atlanta, but at the same time, I just don't think that Atlanta will be fully ecstatic about playing these guys first. I think it is a potential banana skin. First event, haven't seen them play. Well, not first event, obviously they played in Minnesota, but we haven't seen them play in a couple of weeks. We don't know how things went online, etc., etc. But yes, I feel like I'm constantly sitting on the fence here. You would probably put Atlanta in to win this one, but look at OGLA's roster.
If Atlanta don't win this, I'm mind blown, to be honest.
Like, no, I would be surprised. Don't get me wrong. They show levels, but that was 4 weeks ago.
You see that clip though that Simp up on his Twitter?
No, yeah. He's disgusting. He's disgusting. And I do expect them to win this, but at the same
absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, insane. He's despicably good. But OGLA are not a team I would want to go up against first.
No, it's not a good matchup for OGLA, in my opinion. It's just not something they want, right? They had a horrible first week.
It's not ideal. Like
they come in against Atlanta. We know Atlanta are a hot shit right now. It's their home stand as well.
Point.
The only thing that's giving me pause in this game is, and this is something like I've always campaigned against this, but just go look at the fucking team, right? Just go look at OGLA.
That's sort of my argument.
Dashy, Quavo, Slasher.
Yeah, I do think Atlanta win, but there is that but of look at that roster, and if they click.
That roster should be better than it is. We shouldn't be having this conversation in this way. I don't know what has happened.
No, exactly. We should be having the conversation of, holy shit, this is going to be a great game. It still could be. They may have clicked online. I see somebody in the chat say that their scrims have been going well. I don't fucking know. But at the same time, they could have been. Who knows?
I have no idea why this team is not the way that it is. Like, why is this team not better? It could be any reason at all.
Yeah. I think
Slasher's losing the plot of it as well. Though, like I've seen some tweets from Slasher keep talking about.
He's losing his mind.
I mean, he clearly is like talking about the spawns and stuff, and I get it. Obviously, hella frustrating being a professional player in this game right now. But I kind of feel like Slasher's chalking up some of their issues to, well, the game is shit. Can I be asked to really put in 110% to learn a game where it's not really predictable anyway? At the same time, there's clearly a best 3 teams, I guess, in the world right now. So yes, there's randomness, but you know, Atlanta, FaZe, Chicago, Dallas still seem like the top dogs. So yeah, like this series, Atlanta are going to win. I'd be mind blown if they don't, but you know, we're always going to say, give it 3 months. Optic are going to be top 5 team in the game.
Yeah, I would fully agree with that thinking. I think it's just a weird one, right? Because if you're being honest, and you had to go, you know, which team is going to win here, it's Atlanta. And you would never, ever go against them.
Yeah.
It just, right now, OGLA doesn't make sense for me. This isn't a team that I should be sitting there going, oh, they're at the bottom, they haven't played low. Admittedly, we only saw them on opening weekend. But I don't know, man. I'm sitting here and I'm still thinking Atlanta 3-0.
It could be.
I don't see why I wouldn't think that, apart from the fact I'm going off the names in that team. But if they haven't clicked in the first week,
but that's the point.
Atlanta's not the team they're going to click against. I'm sorry, but like if it was any other team in this thing, even like apart from maybe Chicago, if they had London, Florida, Minnesota, Paris, Toronto, I'd be sitting here with a very different mindset and going, well, OGLA could prove themselves this week and come out of the gates. But against Atlanta, I just think they're going to get smoked.
That's what's sort of niggling at me, because I'm like, well, yeah, Atlanta should win this based on what we've seen, based on what we've heard, etc., etc. However, just the talent on that roster makes you think, well, yeah, they should, but it's just that but that is there, and I'm like, I just want to squeeze the butt and just, I just want to, when that team clicks, when that team clicks, I want to feel that butt, and okay. I want to. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you twist your face. He's not.
Clearly, Tunn's already hard up. Tunn's, your mic sounds shocking today. Oh, what's going on? Okay. I thought that, but then you always tell me it's a different.
I was like, different sound. Like,
it's Tunn's production.
I will have a look at that. And well, nobody said anything until about 5 minutes ago.
It sounds like I don't know.
I can't hear my own mic.
Well,
you know, manufacturer.
Some of us know what we're doing. Some of us don't. I'll tell you something about this game though. We'll tell you something about the game here, Atlanta versus OGLA. This is why, going outside of the predictions and going outside of that, why this will be a good game. While the meta has changed a little bit, the speed of this game is rapid. And look at the players on these two teams. You want to talk about meta suiting teams. Admittedly, we don't know why OGLA aren't performing like they should be. Think about the battles that take place here. Right? Think about things like going. We've got the rookie of 2019 against the rookie of 2018. Both who won their rookie year, you know, the rookie of the year in their prime in the speed SMG categories. Quavo and Cyril, you know, these two teams should stack up against each other to make one hell of a show. It should be one of the most fastest, ridiculous, cracked out games you're going to see in Modern Warfare up until this point.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and even thinking about like Slash is one of the quicker kind of AR players of Sin. And then you got TJ as well. Like it should be a fun one, but like I just can't see past Atlanta right now. Just the way their team is going. Like you've got Celium on your main AR, who's also cracked out of his mind. Like the way the game's played right now, it's so tough to get past. So yeah, that's my thoughts.
Yeah. All right, let's have a prediction then. I think I'm getting Atlanta heavy.
Yeah, 3-0, 3-1. Yeah,
Chris Tunn has now actually muted himself, so that's even better.
So
I was muting while I was playing my mic, but I was actually left to stream. But I said 3-0, 3-1.
I think it sounds better now.
Who knows? I honestly don't know what's wrong with it.
We have the same mic, and somehow you sound like hot trash.
I've changed nothing.
Anyway, let's move on. Look at that going forward. Let's go into Group B. Minnesota, Paris, Chicago, Toronto. Minnesota, Paris should be a fun game. I think Paris. They are looking. Yeah, they are looking to. If they win this one, right, and keep doing what they're doing and showing people that, you know, the power rankings at the very start of the game over a month ago were just bullshit because obviously we hadn't seen people play. Paris have a great chance. I mean, admittedly, they're probably going to have against Chicago in the next round. But the Minnesota game, like Minnesota are no walkover.
Pushing on month 5.
Yeah, by no means. Like, I don't know. This is a tough one to call. I really like that. I kind of really like both teams in a way. Maybe I prefer the Minnesota team just a little bit. I really have a soft spot for that team just because I think Assault is just such a class player. And then Silly's good as well. And then you got Alex on that team. Then GodRx has been sick as well. Like, there's a lot of good pieces. Then you got Legion, who were actually really, really strong these last couple of weekends. The Aussie guys putting on some clinics. And even Luca really maybe not showing his full potential yet. Den's having some great series. This is incredibly hard to call. I'd almost be surprised if this doesn't go game 5. And then when it does, if it does, who do I even think is going to take it? I'm going to go with Minnesota. I feel like maybe on the whole, they're a slightly better team, but this is really tough to call.
I think it's one of those things where we haven't seen Minnesota play in London, so it's like
that is fair.
We don't know where they are. Whereas we see in Paris not only do very, very well in Minnesota, they seem to improve by London. When Kismet wasn't dying of coronavirus, but I'm gonna like go with Paris just because. And again, I feel as if it probably is recency bias, but but this is the thing why it's so hard to predict any of these games of teams we haven't seen since opening weekend. We don't know if they've improved, got worse, or anything. You know, it's the vibes and the general talk coming out of Minnesota seems to be solid, but you just don't know. So I think just sensibly, I would lie with Paris on this one. But
here's the thing about Paris.
This is a very, very close game.
Paris are looking like a pretty good respawn team. And I think that's going to be trouble for Minnesota.
So both hard points of Chicago.
Yeah,
that is a great point.
That's not something you can just look over. Someone put this in the chat. And I didn't want to mention it by name, but yeah, like if, and I'm sure they're going to watch this, so I'm going to say it because it's in the chat anyway. Like if Minnesota can put Gunrunner Dom on, like that series is fucking over. Paris, I think if I remember correctly, right? Paris had Gunrunner Dom 6-0 or something stupid like that. Like it's 4-0. It's something mental.
I will double check that while we're discussing.
Gunrunner Dom is Paris's map. I don't think anybody plays them on it anymore. The rest of them, they you know, God knows. But for me, with you know how good Paris have looked, Minnesota are a very good team, and I think you know it's a team to keep an eye on as they kind of roll through. But they could have lost against LA Gorillas. You know, they lost the map against Toronto Ultra. I think realistically, a Toronto Ultra team which keeps changing. I think Minnesota Rocket may give Paris a close game, 3-1, possibly a 3-2. I just don't see a scenario where Rocket take down Paris in any form easily. Like I don't see like a 3-1 for them or a 3-0 for Rocket. I could see Paris doing it, maybe.
Just to report, Paris are 5-0 on Gunrunner Dom.
See?
Really?
Like, there's no way that's getting through, right? It's just not happening.
You got to play like.
That's the thing. It's like when you play it so often, you're good at it. It's like a double-edged sword, isn't it? It's like, yeah, we're doing great. Now we're never going to play the map again.
Yeah, we're just going to ban it against us. Honestly, I'm intrigued here because like Paris at London was such a strange team because their first series against New York, they lost 3-1, got kind of crushed in most of the maps. Then they played against Toronto, had a slow start to the series, won it 3-1. Then they just demolished New York. Yeah, okay, that is fair enough. Right, maybe we give them a pass on that one then. I guess if that's not the case, like they have a really good run of things. I guess Paris should be favorite here, but I'm just going to say Minnesota because I like the team, and just to switch up a bit.
Okay, all right, you're gonna pull for Minnesota in this one. I'm going Paris. I can't go against Paris in the current climate.
Yep.
Tunn, you have a deciding vote.
Yep, I'm going to go Paris as well. I'm going to say close game though. I'm going to go with 3-1, winning all the respawns.
Yeah. All right, there we go. Paris are moving forward. Sorry, Rab, but this time,
it's all good.
You're wrong.
Keep things interesting.
Next one should be a little bit more clean cut. Chicago, Toronto.
Biggest, fattest 3-0 we're going to see this weekend.
I think it will be a 3-0. It's a shame, really. Have they switched rosters again? Have they changed anything else up? I don't know what was going on.
That I know of.
It doesn't sound like it.
I thought Bance played well. Coming into the roster, bearing in mind he wasn't there.
They were played really well, to be honest, in London.
And again, and we can touch on what I was trying to say at the beginning of the show was that these quick sub changes can maybe not work out straight away, but over time, it might go better. So hopefully they do give it time, and it's that again repeating the same saying I've just said 5 seconds ago. It's a double-edged sword. It's like if you make the change, it has to work quickly. If it doesn't, do you change it back or do you persist? If they've persisted with it and it starts to work, no better time than to do it against Huntsmen. But I don't really care who they have on their roster. In all fairness, though, I think this is pretty.
You're not getting past that team. Like whatever 5 players you choose on Toronto Ultra and give them as much
they're
time.
Just going to get outslayed.
The best team there, they're still going to get destroyed. Good luck, to be honest. It's
3-0, maybe 3-1.
I just think you hate Bance, Tunn. I don't know why you've always hated him.
Yeah, hate Ben Bance. Yeah, I'm jealous of his tallness and his handsome looks.
Yeah,
I think they played well. I thought Toronto still clearly has to. The problem is, I think that roster has some good strength and depth. I just don't see anybody standing out for them at the moment. I don't see like an X factor there. I don't sit there and go, someone's going to be really dangerous in this one. I think the team is so interchangeable that I think you could actually put the B team in and have the same results.
I think you fucking throw a Kleenex in. I think you throw a Kleenex in.
I don't know. I've not done a grapevine. Not been hearing the greatest things about him on this game.
Oh, really?
I don't know whether that's just someone who doesn't like him or something that I've heard the rumor from. But clearly, he hasn't been put in the team yet.
I don't know. Kleenex is always an interesting one to me because he basically got picked up because that one clip he had against Aches at Champs, just destroying their whole team. And obviously he had a fantastic series, but if it wasn't for that clip, he doesn't get picked up. It's not like he's shown.
Okay, he had a good Champs. He had a good Champs.
Yeah, he had a great Champs, right? So it's like, okay, now he's Europe's best of all time. But
I just think in terms of what they've got, in terms of a wild card, to maybe mix something up. Maybe not this weekend, but if you're going to make a change in the future. But again, look, we don't see them in scrims. We don't see what's going on. From the outside looking in, though, I just think if anything's going to possibly change that up a little bit, maybe a little bit of pace in there, which you would expect to come from him, possibly. Brack's one of these players as well. Had a very good last year. He's somebody who could definitely step in and do a job. So I don't know. They've got the formula potentially there. It's just not quite not working yet. And I don't think this is the start of where it starts to work against Chicago. Best game.
Oh, yeah. Toronto may have improved. They may be figuring shit out, but it's the same problem as OGLA, right? Your first game is not something that is going to be like, maybe they go mid-table or something. You're just going to come against a hot Chicago team who've just been bodying people all over the place. It's a 3-0. It's a hot 3-0.
Yeah. It's tough to look past that, in all honesty.
Oh, yeah.
Ask me, Bricey.
Yeah. Predictions, Tunn.
3-0.
All right, Rab?
Yeah, we'll give him a 3-0, to be honest. I don't really want to do it, but yeah.
Can't always do the easy call. The easy calls in this thing's like a 3-1 or 3-2. Just go, oh yeah, probably. No, I'll go with a 3-0. We'll just throw it out there. What are they going to do?
Throw it out there.
The thing is, you would sometimes, in years gone by, look at this Huntsman team or something similar to it and say, yeah, okay, they got the slaying ability, domination, any respawn will be their job. They're fucking awesome at S&D as well. That's the problem. It's like...
That is the issue with that team.
They win this 3-0. Like,
Deadly
they're so good. Yeah. It's arguably the best game mode.
I was actually about to say it's probably... Yeah.
Yeah.
It is probably their best game mode, which is very scary.
Which is terrifying. Yes.
Absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, Chicago. Yeah. Easy.
Fair enough. All right, we move back into Group A then. Teams we put through in this round were London, the London Royal Ravens, and the Atlanta FaZe. The Atlanta FaZe or Atlanta FaZe? I think it's just Atlanta FaZe.
Something like
so
that.
London going up against another big one here. You know, they actually didn't have a bad showing against Dallas. But are Atlanta on a different level?
Dallas, yeah. Basically that.
Sounds like it. Yeah.
That's the thing. And as I was just saying about this London Royal Ravens, okay, yeah, to be fair, they did have that reverse sweep against New York, so maybe I'm talking out my ass, but there was just a couple times where they've been ahead in series and they've kind of fallen it away. If they don't have a great start, like as if you're getting back into a series against Atlanta FaZe, like that to me is just not going to happen. Like if they don't win the hard point here, it's just chalked for Ravens if this is the matchup.
They've got the experience of the oldest player in the league in Major Maniac, though.
Wow. Yeah, honestly. What's Major Maniac, like 22 or something?
36.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry, I was misremembering clearly. So, yeah, there you go. I'm just going to say the same thing as I said before, like 3-1, maybe. London win the Dom.
I think London I think this is a fun matchup because London may have a little something in there. I think London struggle to keep up with them, but this may be where it becomes less about Waskins and more about Dylan and Jerd. This is the game. It could be more about them because they have got to slow Atlanta the fuck down to allow Waskins to do the same shit he's doing. Because Waskins looks fucking brilliant at the moment, and it's not just them. Some of it may be baiting out. Some I've heard that said around the community, but I genuinely think if you go and watch his games, watch Waskins' positioning and the importance of the kills he is making. It's not just the KD. I know everybody gets hung up on that shit, but trust me, go and watch it because I was watching the kills he made. They're more important than the 1.6 attached to his name.
Yeah, no, he's
Waskins is doing some crazy things.
Infinity Ward games, Waskin, like, oh my word.
Yeah. But is that enough though? Is it enough against Atlanta? The obvious answer is no. I think London may be able to take a map off them.
The problem is Simp's also going to put up a 1.6. Like that's the issue right there. So, and then you've got to balance the rest of your team, which right now you're not doing. So yeah, good luck. I mean, as you say, I think it is on Dylan and Jerd this series. Like if you can rely on Waskin and Rated between them to put up a 1-ish, 1.1-ish between them, like you need Dylan and Jerd to have good series here. There's no other way you win.
The only way London beat Atlanta is if they come on a completely different level than we've seen before. Put it this way, right? For London to win this game, they don't need to walk on. They need to land through the fucking ceiling like Iron Man onto that stage. That's the kind of level they have to go in at to beat Atlanta in the current, at least what people are ranking them as. Can London do it? Possibly. Like it's never out of the realm of possibility with a team as talented as London, right? But right now, Atlanta look like an elite tier team. And from everything we've heard, all the scrims, all the pro players, everybody has been saying Atlanta, Chicago, that's the game to watch. These two are on a different level. Chicago have proven they're better than Dallas. They are worried about Atlanta. Everybody's worried about Atlanta. And as much as, you don't want to ever put down a team, I don't think London are in that elite tier yet. I think Atlanta are. It's them.
I think London are in the second group of teams.
Yeah.
I think we talked about that whole tier thing that Chance liked last week, where it was like the top tier guys is the middle tier guys, is the bottom tier guys. I think, well, maybe I think there's four. I think there's four tiers. And there's the top guys, there's Chicago and Atlanta. I think there's then your Dallases, your Londons, your Parises.
Yeah, I think that is fair.
And there's like guys like OGLAs potentially, and then there's like your bottom guys, and I just think that London are a tier below them right now. Potential. Well, again, this is the thing. We haven't seen Atlanta FaZe play since opening weekend, and I just and it's like so hard to say. We've seen them play twice
But first series of the weekend in their home stadium, the crowd's there. They're loving FaZe.
Shit the bed.
They're here for the boys. They absolutely ruin the bed. Like,
yeah.
I don't
think they will, but it's still a question, isn't it? Like,
it's at the end of the day, it's a series of COD, right? You can never be more than 90% certain. So yeah,
and not the truth.
Yeah, so we're gonna pull for Atlanta in this one then.
Yeah,
100%. 3-1. London win the Dom.
3-1, maybe 3-2. But I like you look at how good FaZe were at S&D as well. I'm gonna go 3-1. I think. Yeah, I think London take them up. I think it's a close series. I think it's close maps. Maybe one where FaZe blow them out of water. Other than that, I think relatively close. But
I would give London a map here just because I don't put it out of the realm of possibility for a good matchup for them.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Yeah. Still Atlanta though.
Yeah,
still come out first in the group,
but it could be a much closer game than we're maybe envisaging.
Certainly could. Let's move on to the other side then, back to the Group B bracket. Split decisions. It was we put Paris through over Minnesota. And obviously, we put Chicago through over Toronto. This one's a little bit easier to call. Mainly as, it wouldn't be the first time we've seen it. But.
Is it easier to call, though? I don't know.
Well, I mean, technically, you could just go the same route and say that Chicago won because they only played last week. But it wasn't exactly an easy run for Chicago, any stretch of the imagination. They really had a chance of beating Chicago that week. I fully believe that Paris came close to beating Chicago.
I don't see it like that. It's interesting.
Go on.
Technically, it was a game 5, but both search and destroys, they got crushed, like ruined. So it felt to me like the series was always in Chicago's back pocket, even though they lost to 2 close hard points. I feel like if they play again, it's unlikely Paris are going to win by hard points, which makes me think it's going to be tough for them. At the same time, just before you go, Tunn, sorry for butting in, I just wanted to say that like they probably know this is a likely matchup for them to Paris, and they've seen that game last week. There's a reasonable chance that they're looking at B-Sport and the boys are looking heavily into what Huntsmen did in London to beat them in the search and destroys.
Joel's just been playing Tarkov, mate. Don't worry.
Okay, ignore me. I'm thinking too complicated.
No, I don't think you are. I think that's absolutely fair. And I was sort of going to go with the same sentiments of to beat Huntsmen, you have to beat them in all 3 respawns because most of the time you're probably not going to win an S&D. So is that going to happen for Paris? Are they going to beat them in 2 hard points and the domination? Well,
let's put it this way. All Chicago have to do is veto Gunrunner. That's it. Veto Gunrunner Dom.
Yeah.
Then you ain't taking 3 respawns.
If Paris's S&D can improve a lot, then okay, they could be there. But
I'm sure they're working on it. Like, obviously,
100%.
we speak to their coaches a few bit. I'm sure they're working on it. I'm sure a lot of teams are working on their S&D as well, to be fair. This game is really difficult to get a consistent S&D down just because of the way it plays out, especially 5v5. Also, bearing in mind, I forgot about this, patch notes. While we're talking about, because we're taking Chicago in this one, right?
Yeah, 3-1, 3-2 again.
3-1, 3-2, yeah. I'm going to go 3-2.
Convincing.
That's the other thing that happened. I forgot about this. And because here's what we're not going to do. Right? We're not going to go through the entire bracket because then we have to work out the loser's side of it and the flip, and then we have to go all the way through. So we basically just do the groups. We just do the groups, and then the bracket will play out itself.
What about a winner, Brice? Yeah, I think we could predict that.
A winner? Who do we think wins?
That's the hardest one, though.
Well, that's the problem of content. Because look, I'm not going to lie to you, right? CDL Atlanta is about one thing and one thing alone. For me, this is the only real thing I'm going to be curious about. Other than benchmarking some of these teams and seeing the teams that go up and down, yeah, that's all very entertaining. It's Atlanta-Chicago. It's always going to be Atlanta-Chicago. There is nothing about this weekend that doesn't scream Atlanta-Chicago. I want to see that game. I don't. Honestly, the rest of the games, I would rather just not watch them and just watch that one. I have to see that game.
Just get us to this point. Well, imagine if one of them loses, though.
I didn't get to see Atlanta-Chicago.
That heart-shattering thing where London didn't make it the final. We didn't get to see London-Chicago because that would have been fucking sick in London. It's like that. Yeah. My heart will bleed if it doesn't happen, but... Yeah.
Well, so it's saying like Chicago just get bodied out of the tournament or something?
Yeah, imagine like Chicago lose to Paris and suddenly they're in the losers.
They'll probably match up, but like they could match up in the first round, right? I think there was some talk about that in the chat as well. Which
if
is
they
like
both lose or something, isn't it? Or both one loses one.
Or
they're both coming out first. Come on.
Yeah,
they should,
of course, right? But if they don't, then we get an underwhelming final, right? Potentially. So hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully they just win out. They focus up. We get the grand final, Chicago Atlanta. Probably not even worth, as you say, looking at too many of the other series that we haven't already looked at, because it should be Huntsmen Atlanta. That would be our conclusion regardless. Then you've got to decide who wins. My money is on FaZe. What are your thoughts?
See, here's the problem, right? There's a big circle jerk going on. It's the same shit we've been talking about. Everyone thinks Atlanta are the boogeyman right now. They think they are the beast coming over the hill. They are everything we are afraid of. They are the Titans. Problem being is that is just what we're going off in scrims. That's what we're going off what everybody's been saying. We don't have as much substance for them as we could do. Right? We've seen them play Dallas. We've seen Chicago play out a lot more teams and beat them. They won the last Homestead. Technically, through recency bias and sample size, Chicago should be the team to beat. But everybody's saying Atlanta. Everybody's looking at Atlanta. Everybody's saying this team is a team of freaks. They are going to go berserk, and Chicago could struggle with them. But it's just that. It's just words at this point.
I think your logic is good, Brice. Like, technically, we've seen Chicago beat Dallas 3 times. We've seen Atlanta beat Dallas once. We've seen them beat New York once. That's what we've seen. Personally, I just think the game plays right now. Whew, let's go. I hope a game 5. I really do. And Chicago in the searches, as you're saying, right? You get to a game 5. Do you favor Chicago?
I'm fully on. I'm on the hype train of Chicago, and I don't know, man. Like, it is the right in terms of predictions for anything Call of Duty related. This may be one of the most difficult ones we've ever had to do, because we haven't seen Atlanta play since opening weekend. They played Dallas, who Chicago smoke regularly at this point. They played New York and lost the domination. Did they? Top of my head.
Yeah, they lost the dom to New York.
They did. So they bleed. They're not. It's not completely out of the question that they lose a map to Subliners. So can they lose a map to Chicago? Yes. Both these teams are great at S&D as well, though. They're very, very good. And it comes down to that. And it comes down to that. And I also think, LAN experience in this game, how much does that play into it? I don't want to maybe tap into that too much, but it's maybe a factor. In terms of experience on the big stage, there is one team who is head and shoulders above the others in more than one way.
Yeah,
and
you're not
Chicago,
wrong.
And that's Chicago. They've got a lot more experience at that stage. Point, how much does it play into it again? It's subjective.
When you got Crowder behind you, I don't even think it matters.
No, but he's not there when you're playing.
He's got you on the cooldown. Yeah, but between maps. Yeah. Honestly, I just remembered
you could put any scoreline here. You could put any scoreline here, and it could happen.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
About that, the team one. I genuinely will.
I'm going to put all my eggs in the Chicago basket, though.
Fair play. That New York series is funny, though, I was going to say, because after they lost that domination, they went on to St. Petro Hardpoint, and St. went 39-12. He just decided, I think it's time, boys. I think it's time.
He's nasty.
To me, Atlanta FaZe win. I think Huntsmen win a map. I think it's 3-1, 3-2 FaZe. I think even grand finals. Also, that would be super spicy, right? Imagine a game 5, Huntsmen, because obviously there's going to be a lot of Optic, Greenwall, whatever fans there. But then it's the FaZe homestand, right? Like, that's going to be as spicy as it should have been in London if it was Huntsmen versus Ravens.
I just want to address something in the chat of, yes, FaZe, Imran, don't be so close-minded, my brother, right? Yes, they went 12-0 in S&D, but they also played Dallas, who Chicago have mostly smoked in S&D. They play New York, who don't look great. So what can you really take from that? Yeah, they're good at S&D against Dallas and New York, but Chicago look amazing at S&D as well. So
Chicago went 12-1 in search against Paris when they played. It's not like Paris are bad at search. So.
Yeah, exactly. So you can't really delve into the fact that they haven't lost a round of search and destroy yet.
It's a tough call. They'll lose one this weekend. If they don't, they're like.
Don't get me wrong. Well, this will be easier to predict after we've seen some group games, but I'm just gonna put it out there. I think Chicago are gonna win on that, and I don't think I'm out of the question saying that.
I don't think you are either. And that is the curious thing, is it's what you believe. Do you believe Atlanta FaZe are the Titans that have been waiting around the corner? Do you believe in everything that the pro players are saying about how good they are? Or do you go with what you see in front of you? It's basically faith versus like logic. It's Atlanta FaZe are the faith. Do you believe everything you've heard about them?
I believe, Bricey. I believe.
Or do you go with the logic of Chicago Huntsmen, who are a more known quantity at this point? That's what you're asking yourself. And anybody who breaks this down in a different way, like and tries to bring up something like irrelevant, like that's the honest truth of it right now. Is
too logical.
We're basing Atlanta FaZe on rumors and 2 performances a month ago. Right? We're basing Chicago Huntsmen on winning the homestand just over a week ago.
I would love somebody to come in the chat and give me good reasons in one.
There are no good reasons. There are no good reasons. This is not a good argument. This is a terrible argument. It's fucking. I hate it. And it's one of the reasons. Well, we talked about power rankings last week on this show, and the reasons I can't stand power rankings at the moment is because of context. Right? There is no context. There is no sample sizes. The homestands do not allow it. So it makes power rankings bloody annoying because you can't move people up and down a power ranking based on very small sample sizes. We're only seeing, a handful of games these teams play every weekend.
We haven't seen each team play every single map yet.
No. And you have good weekends. We know this in Call of Duty. We've seen teams have great weekends and then be absolutely trashed for the rest of the year. And then we've seen trash teams go on and win the World Championship. Right?
Vegas last year. How good did Optic look? They looked nearly unstoppable at times. Didn't mean shit the rest of the year. Didn't mean shit.
Yeah.
So that's Call of Duty. You week to week can call Gen G at the end of the year last year looked unbelievable. Got knocked out by fucking Timor and all that.
Oh, that was funny, wasn't it?
Who the fuck knows?
Mind Freak. Win every single one. Go to the fucking Miami. Smoked.
Yeah, Jesus.
You're telling me, and that's difficult enough to do power rankings when you're seeing everybody play everybody, in events over during the year. But when you don't see everybody play everybody, you don't know what the hell's going on. Let's pick a winner. Let's go for it, right?
I'm going Chicago 3-2. Fuck you.
Rab?
Atlanta 3-1. It's on you, Brice.
I have no coin.
Go on, say it.
Come on, yeah, faithful logic. That's what you're saying.
I'll show you.
Let me just bring up the roster side by side.
I know you're gonna choose Chicago here. I know you are, and I'm gonna be right, and everyone's gonna know it.
Well, but it's a tough question at this point. It is.
All right, I'll tell you what. I have made a decision. I'm going to go with something I said at the beginning here that I don't believe. I don't know how they did it, but I'm going to go with Chicago, and I'll tell you.
I called it.
I'll tell you why, right?
Fucking do it right there.
As much as I've just realised that I've agreed with Chris Tunn, which is possibly one of the worst things you can actually do in Call of Duty.
You know what? You know I make a good argument, and that's what you
There is the vague taste of vomit in my mouth. And I'll tell you why, right? Because I haven't based it on this fucking wishy-washy bullshit that we've been talking about for the past 20 minutes.
Fair play.
When I bring these two rosters face-to-face, there is something about the Chicago roster that I have said since I saw this roster form. I do not know how on earth it should be illegal for that roster to have been formed. Bearing in mind that Scump is looking like a freak once again, that roster looks like a god squad. They look like a monster. They have the logic behind them as well. Everything says to me Chicago, and I cannot go Atlanta on rumors alone. And that's why. If there was more of a sample size, I could justify it. But I'm going logic over faith. I have to pick Chicago.
I respect it, Brice. In my opinion, this is the time Chicago have to be winning these events, I think, because in the next few months, Chicago are not the team that has, maybe they have the room to improve into, but there's more teams that have that room to improve into. And you always have to worry about the potential gunless situation, which could arise at any moment over the next few months, where team relations start to break down, as they've done on the FaZe team in Infinite Warfare, as they did on LG last year, and as we've seen really throughout history with gunless. I think he's a phenomenal player. I've been Gunless's biggest fan at times, but there's obviously an issue there. If there's a time that Chicago are going to win, it's going to be in these first few events. I think that over the course of the year, Empire are going to catch the Huntsmen up. I think over the course of the year. Okay, go on. I'm ranting.
Change your prediction.
No. Oh, you're telling me to. Oh, I thought you were saying you'd changed. No. No. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying if Chicago are going to win, these couple of events are the chances. Over the course of the season, Opti are going to get better. Dallas are going to get better. Huntsmen are going to have more competition at the top, not just FaZe, in my opinion. This time, FaZe are going to get them.
Okay.
I can't argue. I don't think any of us can really argue against anything.
No one can argue. I'm sure any one of the other 15 podcasts are gone or have other contrived reasons for it. But here's the truth. Like, and he's pretty same as the power predictions at the start of the year. We're still shooting in the dark. We're still hoping and wishing on a prayer. Like, you can speak to players, and even players don't know. That's the truth about Call of Duty. If we all guessed it right every single event, it wouldn't be very fun at all.
If we guessed it right every single time, Brice, we might not be sitting at home this weekend.
Don't think that would matter.
No, probably
talented.
Not. Yeah.
Anyway, now normally I would move on to a few other things here, but what we're going to do is we're going to stick questions in the chat, as I have two other topics I forgot at the top of the show. I knew there was other things. One was I saw something interesting in the amateur community. I actually followed up on it about a player potentially being sued by their org owner. I don't know if you've seen it. I'm not going to call it out by name.
Yeah, I seen something.
It's just comedy, man. It's just you're seeing all, because I went and asked about it, and I'm not going to name drop anything here because I don't want to get more shit on the timeline. Fucking orgs trying to hold people to contracts where they don't get paid. There's no monetary thing for them, and then trying to sue them over these things here. Like, come on, man. Like, contract. I'm no lawyer, but even I know, like, going to small claims court for the little amount of money, filing it with a judge who's going to ask about contract law. Honestly, here's the best thing, right? In these types of scenarios, you can't, like, lawyers don't go into small claims courts in the UK, right? It's not a lawyer thing. You had to be represented by yourself, basically, or somebody, like, if you're a company representative of a company, not lawyer.
Yeah.
You go in, you sort it out, small claims court. If a company is going to go get a lawyer in the small claims court, it's going to cost more than the small claims court is going to award you anyway. Right? At that point, just cut your losses and move on. Don't be threatening players on social media and with shit DMs and tweets and all this other crap. It's just insane. Someone asked actually about there's questions in the chat. I'll put questions in the chat. The other thing I saw is about these patch changes. We haven't talked about the patch changes that are in or coming in. I've been talking about it this week. Things like the search and destroy going down to 1 minute 30.
Oh, right, that
stuff. Yeah. I don't think the patch changed.
But the growl apparently obviously isn't G8. I've seen some people using it. I've got smoked by it in GBs.
Yeah, it's good. I think
that's quite an exciting prospect, honestly. Because if,
but the thing is, the second the pros realize what is definitively better,
then everyone uses that. I just hope that it encroaches into one of the MP5s we see on a map, like 3 MP5s, an M4, and like something else, like a Ram 7 or something. That might be a nice meta, but 4-1 on most maps, or 4 M4s, 1 MP5 on Cave, as it is sometimes, is just a bit dead. So I would like a bit more variety, but as I've said before, like, due to the attachment choices in this game, you can kind of make whatever gun is the best gun at any range. So you're really only going to see 2 guns, in my opinion.
Maybe. I don't know if there's like
we'll have to see.
I think the problem, I'm going to disagree with you slightly. I think the issue right now is not the fact that, like, it's the best guns. I think the fact that the guns do so much. Hipfire is still too good. The MP5 has too long of a kill range with too stable recoil. These guns are too middle of the road. They do too much too efficiently to change the meta up, right? Yeah. Normally, if you want a healthy meta, you need, like, 3 guns is usually a healthy meta. 4, you need a gun to bring something different, something that can do something at different ranges or different scenarios.
Like a Scorpion, Black Ops.
Yeah. Look at that, right? Doesn't make sense in this context, because right now the third gun on any map is a sniper on S&D, because that can do something more efficiently than the M4
different
can
snipers
do.
In play though.
Brilliant.
As your full gun better, baby. Yeah.
It just doesn't work. Not unless the MP5 and the M4 change drastically. It's not gonna change. I'm telling you, right? Listen to me. It's not going to change. The M4 is great for long ranges. It's great for short ranges. It's a quick gun. It's stable. You can run it fast. The MP5, by the way, quick gun, stable. You can run it fast, good at long ranges. Like, listen to the two guns. The only reason the MP5 is now more dominant is because it's faster than the M4 and does most of the shit an M4 will do.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good gun, the MP5.
Some of the kills I see all of that on Twitter are just unbelievable.
Yeah. The range. I mean, how long could we talk about this? The range could be
Isn't
nerfed
it like
again.
a 5-shot kill into so many ranges with that 10mm rounds, which everyone uses?
Yeah.
If
they maybe need
use,
to nerf that.
The 10mm, then maybe they would see something else happen. If that was like a banned attachment or something. But of course, the pros don't want to ban it because it's good. But
it's hard. It's hard unless somebody busts it out. Like nobody even thought the RAM part would come into things until it did.
That's a point.
You never know. You never know.
Yeah. People were saying about the S&D change. I saw Benson tweeted out. Arcloth Peak's gonna be fun. 30 less seconds.
At first I was like, that's a good change, but then if Arcloth Peak, it's not.
Yeah,
it's a bit big. Maybe
the risk is
push spawns in a bit, maybe.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But even then,
the risk is that you have to just keep waiting for your dead silence now, and now you have less time to do it. So, are you just going to be forced to rush things when you can't even be silent? I think I saw Benson say it on Twitter as well. If there's ever a case for dead silence to be a perk, this is it. The fact that you have less time in a round.
I think just having it every round. Like maybe you don't have it constantly, but having it every round.
Fine.
Yeah. Or having an opportunity to use it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice.
Nice.
The last little bit of news. Moose got dropped by Team War.
Yep. Yeah.
Sakri left Train Hard. Saw that today.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about obviously I'm commit to the couple of the guys on War, and I've heard reasons as to why. As far as I'm aware, it's not really Tom's fault. I think it's a case of the meta in the game is just too fast at the minute, and you need more fast players. And I think Tom's really good at this game from what I've seen and heard, but unfortunately somebody had to go by the sounds of things, and I think that's it.
Yeah. They had to make some change.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you're consistently fourth, that makes a point, doesn't it? All right, questions in the chat. Let's bang through these.
You haven't talked about the BR yet.
Oh, it's not too much. Who gives a shit? Thoughts on Detained to Surge? Not even a rumor, but I like it. Right, it's not even a rumor. Come on, man. Who do you think Surge should pick up? We actually covered this earlier in the podcast. We don't know right now. Surge, we don't think they've got the greatest depth in their subs. Hopefully, they'll be all right. We'll find out, man. They've got
in theory, right? As a fast-paced SMG, I guess it's just never going to happen, which is just depressing. Yeah. But that is the reality, unfortunately. If they're going to pick anyone up, it's going to be someone from the US. That's a guarantee.
Is LAN even playable yet? I know there's still issues with the PC thing, but there's obviously a patch coming in.
There should be a hot fix.
Yeah, it should be a hot fix.
Today or tomorrow. Hopefully they'll fix it.
It'll be fine.
If not,
could Minnesota surprise this weekend? I think we've already been over this, but Minnesota aren't in the easiest position to surprise this weekend. They got to beat Paris. The teams look pretty good. If they get upset Paris, then maybe. Problem being is Chicago's in their group. Atlanta's there as well. Minnesota coming top 4 would be a good weekend for them.
Yeah, I think that's...
And I can see it happening. Minnesota could come top 4. That'd be where we roughly put them.
I think you're looking at, obviously, Atlanta and Chicago. And then you're looking at Paris, London, Minnesota. That's sort of where depends what OGLA turn up. That's the thing. As we said before, it's a pretty stacked weekend.
Yeah, it really is.
Outside of the top 2, it could go in any direction, mostly.
Yeah. Someone asked about the Krim kicking up, about the Huntsmen running 3 stuns. It's all fake. I'm fairly certain, by the way, Krim and Seth are just playing the entire community like a fiddle. They're just sitting there and just going,
puppet masters.
Look at the rivalries. Come and watch our games.
That is true.
Fucking smart if true. But at the same time,
it's not even at this point, it would be more of a shock to me if it was even slightly real. I am fully convinced that they know what they're doing.
I think
Hex has said, drama sells. Crim knows it sells. Obviously, Crim would rather win a couple of the games. They'd have this rivalry a bit more deep than Chicago smoking them 3 times in a row. But, like, Seth is playing up to it. We all know he is. Crim doesn't seem that really bothered. There's seen a few tweets go back and forth. There's some saltiness been thrown about. It's not that deep. It really isn't that deep.
I think it's real to a point, but I also think that they are probably extending it further than they
I don't think it is real. I don't think it's slightly real. I think it's bullshit.
I think
like,
it is.
Did you see when they won that first series at Minnesota, how, like, the venom in Scump's eyes, like...
Yeah, that's Scump is always energy. I've seen Scump explode on the main stage more times than I've seen Scump play. Like, come on, man. Like, you haven't seen Scump go mad? Yeah, of course he wants to beat Crim. Of course he wants to beat Crim. But of course he's gonna. It's like a slap in the face between the two of them. But it's not deep. It's not real. Like, the level they put on Twitter is not real. Yeah, of course they want to beat each other. I will give you that point. But it's not like they're going to be like, keep them separate at events. Like, it's not.
No. I mean, Hastra did a tweet, right, saying after that series, him and, like, Scump and Crim went backstage talking about the game and, like, where things could have gone different and stuff like that, right? So
Crim is not going to be angry about Scump. Crim is going to be angry about losing. That's it.
Yeah.
The fact that Scump probably hurts a little bit more, but it's not like he's sitting there like picture of Scump on a dartboard going, oh, I'm going to get him. I'm going to get him.
They don't hate each other.
You know,
I think they both want to beat each other really badly, and I think
Scump's not going to look outside his window at night as we Crimsix with a knife in his teeth, looking in through the window.
But
it's not deep.
They both know that it's good for both of them.
It's good
to
for
a
the
point.
scene.
It'll be like Crimsix knows if they go on to beat Chicago at some point in the season, which I think is not out of the realms of possibility. You know,
yeah, they will.
They'll beat them eventually. Everybody loses a game as a COD.
Yeah, and, I mean, Crim's probably got a folder full of memes ready to go.
Oh, like, just think of the stonking hard on he'll get when that happens.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. Last one. Someone's asked about the production being dodgy again this weekend. Yeah, it wasn't going to begin with. It gets better. It's a brand new team. I think that's what a lot of people don't realize, how good the MLG production team was. It was one of the best production teams in the entirety of esports. They've now got an esports engine. And from what I know is they're involved in some of the homestands, right?
I think they're involved in this one.
Go on. What did you say?
I think they're involved in this one.
Yeah, I don't know whether they're doing all the production or what, because I know there's different ways of doing production this way, but...
I've heard that, like, pre the first, like, in London, I think it might have been the same case. Pre when the proper stream comes on and, like, the desk is there, like, the first few matches are run on, like, a different production team or, like, a different engine. Not engine isn't really the word, but are run by a different group of people, which has meant that the first few games were worse at London than the ones after the big dogs took over. Don't know if that's the case again this weekend, but... No,
I think they're just running a different schedule. They're just running a different schedule. Same shit, different schedule.
Basically, by the sounds of things, it looks like there's like a core team of guys from Activision, but then outside of that, it's whoever the event runner, the homestand guys can hire. So it's gonna chop and change. I think some weekends, if Esports Engine are involved, I mean, Ethan and all the guys backstage, me and Brice can pay testament to how great they all are.
I miss him.
Yeah, I even miss Will. I know. So like Will and all those guys are fantastic, and every event they do will be brilliant. But then there's going to be events where they're not hired, and it might not be so good. I think that's the problem is
not getting hired sucks. Can I imagine how it is?
It does. But I just think that sometimes we are very used to a very high standard, and we should be quite happy to be holding the CDL to that standard as well. However, it's going to chop and change. I think it'll stabilize. I do think it will eventually just come to the point where Esports Engine are just hired consistently anyway.
Yeah.
And then it'll standardize across it. But I think it was bound to happen, wasn't it, really? It was bound to happen.
It was. All right, let's wrap this one up here. Last thoughts from you, Rab.
Nothing much really. Just looking forward to the weekend. Chicago, Atlanta. Hopefully we get it in the grand finals, because there was all that talk about, Atlanta haven't actually they weren't playing Empire or they weren't playing Chicago or whatever exactly it was, like in the groups. And Aches was talking about the issues that could be involved in that. Hopefully this weekend we get it as a proper grand final, and we get the grand final that we should have had in London in an ideal world, with the home crowd versus the green wall, as it were. Especially when it's such a coin flip as this one is. Could be the best series of the year so far. Should be for sure.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Cool. Tunn?
Nothing in particular, just the usual. A lot of views, loads of comments on last week's episode. Definitely helped on Chicago Huntsmen in the chat and the title and in the thumbnail, but that's besides the point. Thank you very much to everybody who was engaging, of course. Keep the questions coming. Me and Brice do see them. We do answer them where we can as well. And yeah, just look forward to this one going up on Spotify and whatnot. If you came in late, it's definitely worth listening to Brice's tirade at the beginning.
That was a good one.
It was a good one. So then make sure you do check out the VOD and whatnot. And yeah, we'll be back at normal time next week. I do apologize. And can I just preface that wasn't my fault that we had to rearrange.
Well, sorry, whose fault was it? Was it mine?
No, wait.
Rab, could you only do it today? Will you ask for it tomorrow?
No, I was here.
No, see, I'm good for tomorrow, yeah.
So it's technically my fault, but it's out of my control.
Not technically your fault. It's 100% you.
Okay, it's my fault, but it was out of my control, and it's not that big a deal.
Champions League would have been on anyway.
That's true. Viewers have definitely suffered because of that. but yeah, just all the usual places. We'll be back normal time next week.
We most certainly will. All right. Well, that's going to be the end of Spitfire. By the way, if you aren't following at Spitfire Podcast on Twitter, go and follow the Twitter. It's at Spitfire Podcast. We're almost at 100 followers on there. We're going to be posting more updates. And also, you get to play this wonderfully fun game I'm going to call Who's Tweeting, Me or Tunn?
It's a good game.
Mine will be much more corporate.
Yeah.
And sensible.
Mine will not.
And yours will
not. Roasting people.
It may get me fired one day. Who knows?
Yeah. But we both have access to that account, and we'll both be putting things out on it.
Yeah. Ask us questions.
Mine will be more loose and fast. I'm sure Tunn will be more organised with it. But if you are listening, or if you are at the end of the YouTube VOD, I do appreciate it. I looked through a lot of the comments last week. I didn't actually go and reply to many of them, but I will be trying to do that more in future. And the same thing with the Twitter. If you are listening right now, go and follow the Twitter, or else. See what you get. All right. Well, that's been Spitfire. Thank you so much for watching again. Thank you so much for the Tactical Rab. Go and follow him on Twitter. Go follow his YouTube videos. It gives you updates on the CDL. But that has been all from us this week. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.